Okay, welcome all to our Thursday tea. This is a business leaders meetup that I'm hosting every Thursdays. So welcome to join live here on Zoom or there on Instagram. On Instagram, if you want the link, do DM me so that we can meet here. See our faces on LinkedIn, on Zoom. Zoom. So many channels. Where am I? So yes, what I wanted to share today and what I've realized over the few months that I've been doing more outplacement career coaching is that there's a lot of challenges happening around the world. And as I've been helping experts and different leaders in these challenging times, that there are practices that can help you kind of prevent or build your strengths towards any setbacks that you might have or challenges during your career or in your business. So these practices I see that are very underused, and that's why I wanted to share them with you, how you can use these, like I mentioned, in your professional life, whether you are having a business, building your business, or wanting to start building your business, and also when you might want to pivot or need to pivot in your career. So without further introduction, I'll just dive right in, and I'd like to hear your comments, your questions in the chat as well. And those of you watching the recording, to share your comments so that I can support you also after the live meetup. But first, what I do want to share is that I see experts very tied to their roles and specific position that they have currently in a specific company. So instead of kind of focusing our career too much on title and status and different companies, I invite you to think about longer term branding, how you want to be known for throughout your career. So what could be your bigger purpose or vision for your career, and what is your mission that you are on? So that's the first one, really focusing on long-term personal branding or professional branding, however you want to call it. But what I mean by that is thinking about the question, what it is that you want to do here on this earth, and professionally, who you want to help and how. And then after that comes the how. So what does it mean? Are you pursuing your professional purpose through different roles, different positions, what kind of companies, what kind of industry and field, or if you want to start your business or do both. I see combinations of that as well. I'm building my business and also doing freelance coaching for a couple companies. So it's really a variety of things that how you can pursue your purpose. But first of all, knowing that, so how can you go deeper into your mission? What do you feel true to your heart? And this can also change throughout your career. I used to do 10 years in marketing, in branding, in different fields. And when I started to pivot to coaching, I started to talk about that, what was important for me. And I noticed the shift. And I'm not saying this only because I shifted from being employed to starting my own business. Personal branding can be in both, but I used to be very much focused on marketing the events and the company I was at, not so much focused on myself, like what are my skills, where are my strengths, but I was actually promoting my employer more than focusing on my branding. So and I see this a lot. And I don't blame you. Like, I think we are kind of like thought to focus on that way, to think about like, okay, my career growth, like what could be the role, what could be the work that I do. I see career now more broadly. Also, the life and career is so intertwined. Like, what do you feel passionate about and how you can pursue that in your professional career? I see Kelsey nodding here. I bet you have something to say about branding, so I'm happy to hear your comments as well. And let me give you just an example on LinkedIn. As a default, the headline under your name is your current role and title in a company. So I first things that I do is for those who we kind of work on their LinkedIn profile and presence is to think about putting that mission and purpose and how they want to help, that more like a future focus, how they want to be branding themselves, what they want to be known for. And this is especially like if you have been laid off or fired at the moment, and you've been so attached to maybe some role, or at least the image that you put out there on LinkedIn or any other channel has been maybe very tied to the company. I've been helping people who've been like 10, 20, even 30 years in the same company. So imagine what happens when it's like, okay, what do I want to do next? And some do see this as a blessing and an opportunity to think about, take a pause and think about what it is that I want to do next. The impact versus the mechanism then, yes. So that's why I do recommend to really diving deeper into yourself and raising your awareness, what it is that you want to do now. Like I said, I did the 10-year career in marketing, and now I'm doing coaching and helping other coaches, consultants, creative professionals, like online entrepreneurs, to pivot and build their businesses so that they can pursue their passion and help others. I might do this 10 years, and who knows what next. I've been saying to my husband that I like interior designing, so maybe that will be my third career inside one big one. So that's why I say like what it is that you want to do now, because that can change over time. And we can change. Like I said, I've been now helping some people who've been have very long careers in the same field, even in the same company, and that's not often the case anymore. People do want to pivot faster and find new things to do. So the world is open, and it's kind of what kind of opportunities you want to create. Okay, let me go to the second one. I could be talking here forever. But secondly, your own activity, like just being active, not only when you need it, but how you can be building a long-term relationships, professional relationships, whether you use LinkedIn, or I have a lot of peer support on Instagram as well. There a lot that joining, and one of my coach friends there on Instagram. So how can you be actively building those connections, building your network, how you can be supporting others, so when you might be facing a challenge or a setback or whatever it is, laid off or some other challenge, then you can go and ask for support. And that's maybe nicer when you've been offering your support as well. So, and actively being active, I don't mean only like when you want to ask for help or build your network. Also in the job search or looking for collaborations, looking for clients, how you can be consistent in that so that it's not so volatile. Some work can be very project related, so there might be short and long projects, but how can you be kind of building if you want to? I kind of, me and my clients want kind of like the longer term projection to see kind of like how they are spending their time, what is their income target. And then especially if you have multiple source of income, like one of my clients is a therapist doing freelance work and building her business and having different services. So how she can, while she's studying, so doing all that. So how you can time manage and be consistent in building your business and having time for everything. So yeah, building the network, being actively creating those career and business opportunities. Activity can mean so many things, and I would like to hear from you, maybe in the chat, what it is for you. Do you mean posting on social media actively? That can be one way. And I think what I hear often is like, oh, I haven't been posting on LinkedIn. I'm not active on LinkedIn. And posting is only one thing. Or if you post on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever channel you use, posting is one thing. And especially on LinkedIn or other channel, I do advise to build those connections on the private messaging as well. So how can you nurture those? Think about who you want to connect with and have in your network. Think about possible partnerships, the companies, and look for the representatives there. And when you're posting, then also the connections who comment, their connections might see your post if you have the settings that way. But also when you're commenting other posts, if you feel like I'm not maybe very good at posting, or I don't know what to say, well, when you're speaking from your passion, maybe that's easier. But also how you can comment on others, because then they also, the connections, now I'm maybe talking mostly about LinkedIn, but those connections, their connections also see you, and you can expand your network. So private messaging, posting, commenting, and even just like, I don't know, I WhatsApp or use Messenger or whatever channel you like to use. But think about building those connections and relationships in a long term. And just as an example, when I was sharing about my content on LinkedIn, then I got contacted by a podcast media company that, hey, we would like you to create a podcast show for us. That wasn't in my mind. I wasn't thinking like, hey, I want to be a podcast host and look for media companies, but how you can be also open to other possibilities and people coming to you. So when you're talking about what you are passionate about and people see that, and now the consistency in that, because it takes people some time for them to learn what you want to teach or educate or help others with, is then you can start creating those different opportunities. I would like to hear in the chat what kind of opportunities you want to create, what comes to your mind, or if you have created something extraordinary, though, something that you didn't see coming. As another example, when I was looking for experts in one of my summits, and they were sharing the content of our interviews, then there was another expert who wanted to connect with me. And when we connected, he interviewed me to his show and wanted to share my story in their latest book. So it's like, you know, these things that you maybe sometimes can't even imagine, or it doesn't come to your mind when you're just being out there connecting, sharing, serving, what is possible. Just imagine what is possible. You're awesome, you're queen. Well, thank you, Kelsey. You're a queen too. So the third one is what I call a can-do trap. We are often thinking like, what can I do based on my experience, based on my current skill set, my strengths? But I call it a trap because it's kind of like we are looking backwards and what we know so far. And I want to invite people to think about, what do I want to do? So instead of can do, imagine what you want to do. So when you think about that purpose, for example, what is your career vision or the mission, how you help others, what it is that how you can then do to make that happen for you and for others. And think about just like, what do you want to do? Because the how comes later. You'll figure it out. I like the saying that when you know your why, you kind of know already how to do that. So kind of broaden your perspective. And this is how coaches and mentors are so useful, because my coaches and mentors help me to see my blind spots, my limitations, my fears, what I'm thinking like, oh, I can't do this, or I don't have experience in this. So how we can turn that around and just focus on the mission and the step I'm at and how I can build. I think very often we want to be already there on top of the mountain and not be patient. I'm so impatient sometimes, and I just want to be right. Just want to be there already. And I think that speaks about your passion already. Like if you're passionate about something, you want to be there already, serving 1 million people or whatever it is that you want to do. But how we can take it step by step, how we can grow throughout the journey, because that's also the fulfilling part. If we just keep doing what we can do, how do we grow? Maybe a little steps. What I was taught in my coaching training. Oh, let me let people in. So what I was taught in my coaching training is that we have this kind of circle, like we are in a comfort zone, and then the stretch zone, and then a panic zone. So how can we stretch from the comfort zone a little bit, like 2-3% at a time? Hi Candice, welcome. So how we can stretch a little bit more, because that's how we grow our comfort zone. So what we feel comfortable with, those skills and strengths that we have, how we can expand from that. Not to go too much, because then we go to the panic zone when things might feel overwhelming. And so how you can think like, okay, what's your goal? How you can break it down to different steps, and just like advance, like do the transformation like step by step. I know, how do we build the patience to do that? And that's another thing. But I mean, I also believe that when we are creating bigger things, it's good to take some time to build that. What comes to your mind about these 3 things that I shared? So I see that people really are not using these enough throughout their career. Like I said, if you're facing a challenge or setback in your business, you know, just like, oh, I don't have clients in long programs, or I just got fired and I don't know where to look for different career opportunities. This is that having that vision for your career. And like I said, keep reflecting on it, because it might change throughout your career. Different life changes happen, and it might change your priorities or values might change. And that can also change the directory of your career. I was just speaking to an expert who's coming to our Courage to Lead show, that she had a breast cancer and how that changed her business and her career. And I don't mean that we need to go through a crisis to make changes, how it is good to keep reflecting all the time, so then the changes are maybe not so major when we keep like really building our awareness of what we want to do. These past few years that I've been coaching and building my business, I've been doing like small pivots a lot because once I learn like, oh, I want to help these people with this, or I want to help these people with this. And it's good to get the experience, because then you notice like, what are you passionate about? Who do you want to help? And I think that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, is that you can do that. Like you can keep pivoting, but also the consistency in there to keep doing something long enough that you start seeing the results. That was my mistake in the beginning. I think I just wanted so much experience pivoting from marketing to coaching, like, okay, what it is like, and having like different clients to kind of know like who do I resonate with, who wants to work with me, where's kind of the good match and the good spot for me. But that has now evolved. Now I help more and more those who want to start their businesses, or they've been maybe struggling in the beginning and now they want to build their businesses. When at first I was doing more like career and life coaching, helping people to pivot like I did. So this is the beauty, how it can change all the time. But yeah, those were my, and I do have a bonus one. Think about your transferable skills. So how, when you look at your career vision, and you can do this for a year, 2, 3, 10 years ahead. I, for example, have a client who has about 13 years that she has planning to retire at 50. So she has that kind of plan, how to increase her finances, build different income streams so that she wants to retire at 50. So what does that mean for her career? That's a 13-year plan, más o menos. So what it is for you? What is your target? How do you want to do it? 10 years at a time. If that feels too long, you can think about 5 years. But having that vision and the clear idea of your purpose will really be the North Star, let's call it like that where you're going towards. And then you can always like do these smaller or bigger pivots within your career or within your business. But really being consistent helps you. Consistency in building those relationships, like I said, relationships with your peers in your industry, with different experts, different companies. For example, now this spring, I started a collaboration with a coaching company that we got to know like each other 2 years ago when I was receiving their services, and we were contacting in communication, building the relationship, that what it would look like for me to do coaching for them. And now it happened. Now they needed some more support, and that's how I started another company that I just started in another project just actually this week. So yes, that started also a couple of years ago, just like networking with the company. There are people in there, how you can create those. And this is why I say long-term relationships. You don't know when things open up, when they need someone. So have those people around you who lift you up, who inspire you, who you want to connect with, who can support you. And who you can also share your support with. And then what comes to your mind when you think about this can-do trap? Are you thinking about like what you want to do? That's the third one, Kelsey, the can-do trap. So instead of can-do thinking, what do I want to do? So how you can expand your thinking from what you currently know and what are your skills now, but instead of that, thinking like, what do I want to do? What do I want to learn more? How do I want to grow professionally? For example, with different clients, we look at like different trainings. Nowadays, it's like you don't need to go through new bachelor's or master's degrees. There's so many like short trainings as well in specific topics. So people are, for example, oh, this is an opportunity for me to learn more about AI, for example, that has been there, but I haven't had time for it. So now that they are thinking new career opportunities, it's like, what do I want to learn and how do I want to take that forward? Even I have people who are close to retirement and they are like, yeah, I want to take on courses and learn just out of curiosity. Can I learn? And I'm like, yes, you can. It might be, it might take some more time than when we were a child. But yes, it's great to practice your brain throughout your life. That's how you keep your mind fresh, and that's good. Oh, you want to learn real estate and investing? Those are very good and areas that it's good for the long-term investments, kind of securing, let's say, your finances. So I hear that a lot as well. Yes, and the transferable skills, that was my, let's throw out a bonus there. So how you can think about, I hear this especially from moms who being like at home, for example, or people who want to transition to a new field, like, hey, this is what I've been doing a long time. And I was there as well. I was thinking like, I've been so much focused on marketing. So what do I know? Like what other things do I know? And you do. When I was in my coaching trainings, they said like, you're not starting from zero. You have so much knowledge and skills that you have learned. Whether you being, mom and homeschooling, this expert of mine said like how she was building her business while raising 5 kids at the same time and having time for herself. So really think about like, what are your skills? If you have challenges thinking, what are you good at? You can think about what people usually come to you asking for help. That's a good indicator, like what are you good at when people ask and come to you asking for help, or just go and ask for feedback. Like ask people, your friends or colleagues, or who you want to ask for feedback. Like, hey, what do you think? What do you think I'm good at? Where are my strengths? So that's good way to also broaden your perspective, get some new ideas. What do you want to do? A client of mine today said that she had been home raising kids with special needs, and she just started her career after that just a few years back, and her husband was like, hey, you are actually very good at writing, and she is now pursuing a career in marketing and communications. It was her husband who was like, hey, you're good at this. So sometimes we just don't see what we are good at ourselves. So who can help you to see that? I do advise you to have a coach or mentor to support with that, to think about like how you can see yourself in your career. How do you want to advance it? And then especially what you want to do, and then help you to plan the how afterwards, and managing all the emotions that come along the way. I can say my pivot wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to leave a corporate career, a permanent job, to pivot to a new field when I was 30, and while I was moving to a new country and leaving my home and my family and everything kind of behind. Well, they are still there, but there was a lot of mindset work. There was a lot of fears around that. I definitely could have used coaching myself. I didn't know how to look for that. So that's why I feel passionate about supporting you. So hopefully this was helpful for you today. How you can use these actually for practices throughout your career when you're building your business or looking to grow in your career, and how I advise you to do this consistently. Keep reflecting, learning new about yourself and what you want to grow and learn next. What are the areas, so that you can, if not prevent all setbacks or challenges, you can be more prepared. You can strengthen your network, your income, your finances, your wealth, your skills, when you're learning all the time. So this is good, not only to create new opportunities, but also you to help build that resilience and strength in yourself, in your career. So if you do face some setbacks, layoffs, whatever, losing your clients, I heard like some, for example, people who were in real estate when was the market crashed, they needed to pivot. An expert joining to my show was a real estate consultant, and all that went away in the crash, and she had 2 kids as a single mom. So yeah, those things happen. So how can you be resilient and have that adaptability to a new situation? Okay, that was it from me today, this week. Great to see some of you being here every week with me, and also new faces as well. So I hopefully see you also next week, same time, same link that I share. So see you on Thursdays. I'm happy to hear kind of like what are the topics that you would like to discuss. Bring in your burning questions. How can I support you? I'll do my best to answer your questions, and I'll have usually some nuggets, some lessons from myself, my clients that I bring to the table. So happy to really create these sessions, these meetups, to fit your needs. What is it that you're currently thinking about? So it was great seeing you, and thank you, Candice. You'll get the recording later. I think you missed some of the beginning, but I was actually repeating a few times. So repeating so that we learn by repeating. Thank you, Kelsey. You're a genius. And hope to see you next week. So have a great rest of your day, and let's keep connecting. I want to hear, what are your takeaways? What are you focusing on, especially from these 4 areas discussed today? I'm like learning about real estate and investing. That's a field I want to learn more as well. I'll see you soon. Thank you.